Inflation is kind of steady, which is good news. New home sales, builders are struggling, and you might be surprised at what is causing 9 out of the 10 top states in home price growth to have such high, no pun intended, high home price growth. All right, let's get into the housing market update. Prices are steady, starting to fall in certain areas. Inventory is still up, and rates are sideways. I would say they're actually going up, but not a lot. We're in a range, and we haven't broken out of that range. All right, so let's get into this inflation. Inflation ticked up a bit this week, but still not bad, and it was expected. So we'll get into that. Homebuilders. Homebuilders are still a sad lot. And why buying an existing home may be better than buying a new home. I've been inundated with new home sales from builders, and I tell you what, I think the better deals on our existing homes. Here's the other one. Who's your friend? Marijuana's your friend. That's right. It's a friend of the housing market. We'll get into this. So let's go. First off, Consumer Price Index. Woo-wee. June CPI up to 2.7% from 2.4%. That was what was expected. Core CPI was at 2.9%, which was lower than the 3% expectation. And the main reason for the jump was this is an annual, so June of 2025, whatever that reading was replacing the June 2024 readings, which were 0. So there really wasn't any chance that inflation was going to go down. The expectation was that it was going to go up, and that's what happened. Hurting the headline inflation was energy prices, believe it or not. Energy prices were up 0.9% month over month. But I will tell you this, on the core, one of the reasons why the core was lower than expectations was car sales are down. Used and new car sales are down. The prices are down. The price of housing was actually down last month. So a solid core CPI reading. And if you look at the annualized core run rates, we're still on a negative trajectory. 2.9%, 12 months, 6 months at 2.6%, and 3 months at 2.4%. So great news there. Here's the other news. The other inflation news this week was the PPI, the Producer Price Index, which was cooler than expected. That was at 0% for both the headline and for the core. Actual expectation was 0.2%. So PPI, Producer Price Index, and those numbers, by the way, they go into the PC, which is a Personal Consumption Expenditure Report, the Fed's favored measure of inflation, which comes out in a couple of weeks. So what does this inflation report say about tariffs? Tariffs ain't that bad. The impact of tariffs has not been, it's not crushing the market. Inflation's not going through the roof. So you got all these media folks saying inflation's going through the roof. You probably even saw it in some of the reports this week. But you know what? In actuality, inflation's not going through the roof. And the tariff impact that everyone is fearing has not been seen yet. And you know what? Quite frankly, I don't think it will be. Let's talk about home builders. Home builders are not happy. I will say this though, they were up 1% or 1 point from 32 last month to 33 in June, but still that is a negative. That's some negative feelings by the home builders. You know what? Elevated rates. Number one reason, buyer traffic went from 21 down to 20. Again, anything above 50, builders are feeling positive. Anything below 50, they're not very positive. Let me tell you, they're not very positive right now. For the future sales expectations, it did go up from 40 to 43. Current sales expectations from 35 to 36, but it's elevated rates, it's economic uncertainty, it's high material costs, it's tariff fears. These numbers are really showing the hurt locker that the builders are facing right now. And they're not overbuilding. They're incentivizing like crazy to try and get their homes sold. You know, as long as we have these higher interest rates, buyers are not going to make that trek. They're not going to make that trek into that new build. They're not going to make that trek into the model homes. It's just not going to happen. All right, they're not window shopping right now. They're fearful. That's what we see with home builders. Now, let's talk about why buying an existing home is potentially better than buying a new home. All right, the first reason, lower upfront cost and fewer hidden expenses. You're going to have lower initial purchase price on existing homes compared to the new builds because, you know, hey, new builds, you got higher material costs. It's more expensive to build a home now than it was then. So you're going to have higher costs. Here's a couple other things though. Right now, sellers are giving massive seller credits on existing homes. Upwards of $70,000 is what I am seeing. And here's another thing. Most of the new builds on island, on Oahu, guess what they don't have? They don't have central air. They have split ACs. Not very good, not very cost conscious. You can buy a home with central air and get a $70,000 seller credit. $40,000, $70,000, hey, whatever, it's still really good. And here's the other thing. Solar panels. You can buy a home in Eva Beach. You can buy many homes in Eva Beach and Kapolei that have solar panels. Do you know what it costs to put solar panels on a house? $60,000 to $80,000, easy. What does that do for you? That lowers your monthly electric bill. So on top of you're buying a new construction home where you're gonna pay for the material costs, higher labor costs. If you want to get energy efficiency, get the central AC. Well, there's another $25,000, $30,000. I know, I just put new central AC in my house because my AC just shit the bed. So you got to pay for that. Then you got solar. Guess what? Existing home sales, you're finding some great deals out there where you're getting all of it. All right, the other good thing about buying existing, you got immediate availability and move-in readiness. Your new construction delays are common on Oahu, especially in master plan communities. You're seeing that a lot. Again, we're on an island. It's not like we're growing steel. Everything that we use to build homes is being shipped in. Established neighborhoods, there's another reason. Walk around a new construction area, guess what you get? You get a lot of dust, you get a lot of dirt, you get little baby trees that fall down all the time. Whereas you go through an established neighborhood, you got big trees, great shaded area, you have parks, you have an identity to the area. You don't necessarily have that with a new build, new construction home. And now let's get into that. We have more location, style variety. You know what? You're a cookie cutter when you're buying new construction. And you look at some of the townhomes they're building, they all look the same. It almost looks like tract housing. Well, when you're buying existing homes, you have a lot more to choose from and a lot more variety in different areas, certainly closer to the areas that you want to be. Here's the final thing. In larger master plan communities, your value when you buy a home, like anybody who's bought a home in Ho'opili over the last 2 years, well, their home prices are going to be capped at what the home prices for the new builds are. Because guess what? If someone has a choice between buying an existing home and a new build, they're not going to buy your existing home for more than what they're going to pay for a new build. In this market, buying existing is in many cases the better option. So I know a lot of people come to Island and say, oh, I'm going to go new construction. If they're going to buy it all, they're going to go new construction. May not be the best option, especially right now in this buyer's market. Hey, well, guess what? Marijuana is lighting up the real estate market. That's right. We're going to burn one down in the front yard. According to a report by Clever Offers, 9 out of the 10 U.S. states with the highest home price growth since 2009 have legalized marijuana use in some form. The one state that does not, that is in the top 10, is Utah. Go figure. I don't know. Maybe the Mormons don't smoke the ganja. I don't know. Hey, so what is the reason for this? Well, commercial real estate boom for one. You had a huge demand surge in these states for warehouses, storefronts, and land. And that is having a ripple effect on the residential sales. You have fewer homes on the market because the cannabis business is using all cash to make these purchases. Landlords are actually loosening up on cash. 40% of landlords say they'd accept cash. Well, who's got cash for rent? People who are growing marijuana. So that's what you're seeing in the residential as far as a ripple effect. And it's had a mixed impact on nearby homes in the proximity to some of these cannabis businesses. You know, for the proximity to the dispensary, boost some of the commercial values. But you know what? Not necessarily in residential homes. But still, you're starting to see a kind of a mixed impact. You're seeing a shift in neighborhood norms. Residential markets and HOAs are adapting to legal cannabis, accounting for on-site consumption and cultivation among renters and homeowners. Hey, you know what? I love walking my neighborhood. There are some smells that I absolutely love, like the smell of bacon. When I'm on a walk or I'm on a run and I smell bacon, I sometimes stop. I stop and take it in. But you know what? There's some houses in my neighborhood where they're not smoking bacon, they're smoking something else, and I don't really stop. I don't like the smell. But you know what? It's becoming more normal in these states that have legalized cannabis. So hey, you know what? Don't knock it until you try it. I'm not actually saying try marijuana. I'm actually saying moving into a state that has legalized marijuana. Hey, that's all I got for you on that one. Let's get to the end result here. All right, VA rates. Well, rates are steady. A little higher this week. Again, there was no expectation that that inflation was going to drop, and if anything, it was going to go up, and it did, but it was, like I said, it was expected. So rates are steady between the 6.25 and 6.5% range, but you know what? There's still a lot of economic uncertainty out there still. We have tariffs. We have Fed Chair Powell under a large amount of duress. He's fighting Trump. He's fighting mainstream media, but I tell you what, not a lot of people are happy with the Fed, and in particular Fed Chair Powell. So we'll see what happens next week. And then what does this mean? Hey, mortgage apps are down, all right, on this increase in rates over the last couple of weeks. This summer start that was looking pretty good, man. That sizzle starting to fizzle, baby. Inventory is still the highest in 10 years in Oahu. We are in a buyer's market. I got some great programs that help those first-time home buyers. Conventional 1% down, where the lenders, that's right, the lender's going to pick up 2% of the down payment. Great product for first-time home buyers. So, you know what? Now is the best time to buy for many people. Some people it isn't, but for many people it is. Sellers, hey, overall, summer isn't helping clear up all this inventory surge that we've had this past year. But I will say this summer surge may end up being a fall surge. All right, and this is what happened last year when interest rates came down, right? A lot of people started buying homes. A lot of people started refinancing. And you know what's happening? The hiring freezes, the order freezes. At the end of the year, that's when people we're getting their orders, when we're in a kind of a financially constrained environment. Hiring freezes are lifting. Orders are being cut. So people are going to start moving at the end of summer versus the beginning of summer. What I would say to you, if you're a seller, don't sell unless you absolutely have to. All right, just grin and bear it, suck it up. If you can, don't freak out, don't panic. If you don't have to sell, I wouldn't sell. And I would look for renting, even if you're going to lose money, as long as you can keep that delta down and have a budget to support renting it out at a loss. So that's kind of my recommendation, certainly right now to sellers. But I will tell you this, if you are going to sell, you got to look at seller credits. I was just talking to another buyer today, or actually another seller's agent, talking about a $60,000 seller credit to incentivize somebody to buy the home that's on the market. All right, that's all I have for you guys this week. Please like, comment, subscribe. Have a great one. Aloha.